Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. It is good to have in the studio with us. Last time it was by Zoom, but now up front and personal is Jessica Berger. She is the Vice President of University Advancement for California State University, San Marcos. How you doing, Jessica?
I'm doing great, Drew. It is so good to be here in person. So much better than Zoom.
I thank you so much, and I feel the exact same way. How's the president doing? Please give her my regards. And what is she up to besides working probably 24 hours a day?
Oh, I am so glad you asked. You know, the last time that we were on the show, we talked about launch of our new strategic plan, our mission of student success, and our vision to become a leader in social mobility nationally. And I have some hot off the press, literally as of a few minutes ago.
You heard it here first on the Spotlight on the Community Show.
You got it. Yes. So the College Net rankings just came out this morning, and they measure how we line up with tuition, how we enroll our low-income students and graduate them into good-paying jobs. They measure over 1,400 four-year universities across the nation. We've always been in the top 5% over the past 7 years, which is phenomenal. But what these rankings will show today is that we are number one. We are number one.
Wow, that is so exciting. And what do you attribute that to? Is that everybody certainly is rowing in the same direction? That certainly helps. What else?
I think, it's always been a part of our DNA and who we are. And the students we serve were just over 50% first generation.
Right.
We have, we shared before, the highest per capita of military affiliated, highest per capita of Native American, former foster youth. And it's really the passion and the commitment of everyone on campus, the faculty, the staff, are incredible ambassadors in the community who lead and volunteer. So it's a collective effort. And so, you really can't point to any one person. However, I will say having a leader in President Neufeld who has committed her life to this work and is an expert in social mobility. She established the first National Center for Social Mobility, and we have our sights raised on doing just that on the West Coast. And so this is incredible news to really acknowledge the work that we're doing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations on that honor. So it's you're number one in, how would you categorize it? In what? Social mobility? What's the exact title of what you're number one in?
Number one in social mobility. So there's the Social Mobility Index that through CollegeNet and like I said, they look at how, affordable tuition, the students that we enroll who are coming from low-income backgrounds and graduating them into good paying jobs. And that's a ripple effect into our community. It's not only changing the lives of those graduates, but their families, and then the community. Yeah,
that's quite an honor, and certainly you've been working on that for quite a while. And Cal State San Marcos, I remember when they broke ground on that a long time ago. I think Bill Stacy was the first president, if I'm not mistaken, in that aspect. That's always been just so focused on many things. Education, you hang your hat on, of course. A lot of teachers come from that university and credentials and so forth. So that is just absolutely fantastic. And I think what's nice about that, when you get that type of recognition, you've always been good at it, but now you're at the top of the heap. Who's not going to gravitate toward that aspect? Well, what's your enrollment right now?
We have just over 17,000 students.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So is that total including graduate, or is that undergrad?
Total.
Total.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how are you going to hold everybody on that campus? Are you're continuing to build? I know that's part of your work as well. You're building more buildings, more places for people to hang out and so forth?
Yeah, so we're really grateful to have just received state funding, $91 million, to be able to build additional affordable housing with the goal of getting to about 2,500 beds, but still, and that we've come a long way from being, a commuter school.
That's right.
And also how we look at our academic buildings. We are looking at our next academic building. It's been, almost over 2 decades since we've seen the last academic building to come up on campus, and that will be an integrated science and engineering building.
Right.
Our engineering program is just almost 4 years old. We launched with software, electrical, and we'll be bringing on computer engineering in the fall of 2023. And really was made possible through various partnerships such as Viasat and others in the community. So we have ambitious plans. We're number 3 on the CSU priority list, number 1 academic building that would allow us to build space to accommodate what we have today. And when we look at sort of where we need to go, we're literally bursting at the seams.
I know you are.
In terms of engineering majors. Our dean for our College of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, and said we're literally like retrofitting spaces and classrooms to try to, accommodate lab space. So this will allow us to do that. And we're looking at building additional space through with a second wing to be able to accommodate, say, industrial and systems, mechanical and engineering. And there's such a need in the community. Another stat is that I think for every software engineer, for every 4 software engineer positions, there's 1 graduate. So we can make such an impact in that area. So we're out in the community and sharing our ambitious goals to make this building happen.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. We're chatting with Jessica Berger. She's the Vice President of University Advancement for Cal State University San Marcos. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing great things to San Diego for more than 60 years. And, when you drive off of I-8 and you look to the right, if you are going east, and if you look to the left, if you're going west, and that you just see just so much stuff going on at that school. You brought up a very interesting point, and I think that also can apply to cybersecurity as well, is that there are just so many jobs waiting to be filled in this aspect of it, high-paying jobs that are waiting to be filled, and so forth. Do you guys have a goal of, you obviously can't bring 10,000 people on campus tomorrow, right? So you have to scale it. Do you have a goal that we want to be to this enrollment in 3 years and this enrollment in 6 years and so forth?
Our goal is to eventually get to 25,000, and again,
including graduate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, looking at just sort of where we can go, especially with integrated science and engineering and all the interdisciplinary, and what that means in our region and where we are when we think about life sciences and biotech. It really is going to be a game changer. And when we think about what we have to offer in terms of a diverse workforce pathway, we have, just looking at our engineering majors, 47% are Hispanic Latinx. You compare that to just within the CSUs, it's 26%. The national average is 9%. So, and over 53% are first in their family. So when we talk about that, the transformation and the life change and what that means to give back and the impact in the community, 8 out of 10 of our graduates stay in the region. We want them to stay in the region. Because again, ultimately, it's just going to continue fueling our region.
But think about that, so yes, you're affecting these, first-time college goers, so to speak. And now think of the footprint they're going to have in their network, with their families that haven't either had the opportunity or not pursued that opportunity. And now whatever they can, as they spread their wings, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in teaching, whether it's in science and
healthcare,
pick a topic, right?
Yeah.
And certainly that's great. Love to hear the fact that 8 out of 10 want to stay in San Diego. We hear a lot about, and that hits just a beautiful major goal of the EDC, the San Diego Economic Development Corporation, and all the local EDCs, is we want to make sure that the folks find sustainable work and jobs in San Diego, so somebody in the East Coast isn't snatching the people that we just educated. And then the other sense, now we can bring the folks from MIT into San Marcos and all that, right? And do it both ways. And I know that's something that's really important to you as well. I don't know how you get your job done, to be honest with you. I mean, anyone who knows anything about university advancement for a university, and really a solid one like yours, I mean, probably working 28 hours a day, if that's even possible. But you must have a lot of great partners you're working with. You talk about how the work with private folks and also public in that area. Like, I know the mayor of San Marcos is a friend of ours, and she's a character too.
Absolutely. I'll say it. I have the best job in the world. I do. I was a product of what we talk about when we talk about social mobility. First in my family to attend college.
Is that right? Okay.
Parents worked in a factory. Two of the hardest working people I know. But education was that key, and it took a village, and it took people who supported, along the way through that effort. And so with that, when I say I have the best job in the world, I get to work with a team who's incredibly talented and dedicated, and campus partners, our faculty, our staff. So I also oversee our foundation board, which is a dedicated group of volunteers in the community who serve as ambassadors and inspire inclusive philanthropic support. And we have a long way to go. Predominantly at Cal State San Marcos, when you look at support, we have roughly 2/3 that has been coming from foundations and corporations, which is incredible, and 30% coming from individuals. If you compare that to when you look at USA Giving, right, and it's flipped. We have 70% coming from individuals and 30%. So there's so much work. And I think, we've done so well in that area with corporations and foundations because, they're in the region and they see the benefits. And so a lot of our work right now is really partnering with leadership, and that includes Mayor Rebecca Jones and our foundation board directors, our university council, and all volunteers who are, we don't pay them. They're really passionate and dedicated. And so we really rely on them to, as sort of our champions in the community to be able to accomplish what we need.
Yeah, and Jessica, makes our job easier too. Whether it's Rebecca from the mayor's office, or whether it's our friends from the San Marcos Chamber of Commerce that actually works really closely with Rebecca and everybody else that's in between there. Of course, the wonderful, K-12 school district in San Marcos, and even the ones that are on that corridor on 78 as well. And, when people are actually working together, it's amazing what great things happen. That sounds so obvious, but also shows you how sometimes people aren't working together as well. And listen, not to patronize you personally or, President Neufeld or the university as a whole. I mean, you've really, I remember, seeing from ground zero, and here it is now, and it's what a trajectory, and it's just going to be even exponentially bigger and faster thanks to the hard work you're doing. And that's got to be a great boon for certainly the economy in San Marcos as well, and the other areas. And so is there any studies that you folks are doing? I'm sure the answers are there, that here's what the university is doing as an economic driver. Yeah,
we're fortunate. We work very closely with the EDC. Mark Cafferty, we just last week hosted a coalition for metropolitan and urban universities to have those conversations, to be able to share out the impact. And it's true. For every, the dollars that are invested, it's tremendous to see what that looks like going back into the community. And so we do measure that because it is, especially as people are getting to learn more about us. And, and sort of what does this mean for me? Well, it's impacting your area and your region. So we do have a really great partnership with them. And you mentioned that K through 12, we also have an alliance program that is really served as a model for others. We have MOUs with over 10 districts in the area for guaranteed admission for those who meet the requirements. And that has been, again, really a model for when we talk about access and to expose students early on in K through 12. They do bus trips in a 7th grade and 10th grade, and even beyond that. And over the past couple years, what they went from in person, just going into the schools to then turning into road shows, they've served over 16,000 K through 12 students. That little piece of exposure, our president of ASI, she gave a wonderful remarks at our recent report to the community and shared it was her bus ride in 3rd grade to campus, to CSUSM's campus, that instilled in her that dream of I can, and to see people like her. And so that it's just, we have to start as young as possible, and that's allowing us to do that.
Yeah, and you can't talk about it enough. We're chatting with Jessica Berger. She's the Vice President of University Advancement for Cal State University San Marcos. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission-Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. When we come back from break, I want to continue that conversation with the connection to the K-12 districts in your area, of course, and what you're doing there, and then that opportunity for them, if they meet certain metrics in their schooling, they're going to be accepted to the university, which is huge. And then something near and dear to my heart and your heart is the military, and can't wait to talk about that as well when we return with Jessica Berger. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission-Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. Honored to have in the studio with us Jessica Berger. She is the Vice President of University Advancement for California State University San Marcos. Congratulations on your #1 moniker for social mobility. Just came out, broken here on our Spotlight show. A great accomplishment, Jessica.
Thank you. I know. We'll just keep repeating as much as possible.
We are.
So exciting.
Matter of fact, I'm going to be using that every time you and the president's on or some other colleague. I'm going to keep on using this. We're talking about the great capital campaigns that you work on. We'll get into more details on that. Integrated science and engineering, as you guys are just growing by leaps and bounds in that area. I want to get back to the K-12 aspect of it. I know a friend of mine that I worked with, I was honored to chair the Sweetwater Education Foundation, and Ed Brand was superintendent in Sweetwater, and then he did a little short stint up at Cal State San Marcos. But if I'm not mistaken, he brought the Compact for Success up to you folks. I could be wrong on that, where he had this with San Diego State. Every kid that hit a certain metric was going to be accepted to state. Most of them first time ever going to college there. Our job at the foundation was to raise money. So not only they got accepted, they could, get, in there through tuition. Do you guys do something similar to that? Is it called a compact, or is it just some type of an MOU you have with all the different districts?
Yeah, so it's called our Alliance program that launched in 2013, really by way of generous supporters in the community. We have over 10 MOUs with the school districts, and we are growing. We're also growing in other ways too. This past year, we signed an MOU with a Coalition on Black and African American Education. That's a collection of community-based organizations that work to close the educational equity gaps. And just a few months ago, President Neufeld and CSUSM Freedom Fighter Award for those efforts. And so the results, I mean, we have the data to show 4-year and 6-year graduation rates that are higher for those students who go through that program. And so we're really looking to elevate, and that's going to be part of our philanthropic initiatives moving forward as well, because it's such a key to access and the pathway for our students.
Well, it hits the reason why you're number one in the country on this. These are first generation, kids that are going to, college. And of course, then their kids will be second generation, and then the grandkids and so forth. And it multiplies on that. But military is very important to you folks. You mentioned it earlier. You really hang your hat on how many of the students are veterans, okay, or are going to be going into the military or whatever the case may be. Just talk about that relationship. It's huge.
We're so proud. We have the highest per capita in the CSU. So 12% of our student population, which again, 17,000 students, are military affiliated. And we're fortunate to have support. We have our Epstein Family Veterans Center that's able to support our veteran active duty and our spouses in the community. But there's so much more that we can be doing. And just over the past 8 months, I've been partnering with Dr. Patricia Prado-Olmos and with the support of President Neufeld to build a military advisory council to look at how we can elevate that support to all our veteran, our military dependents, our spouses, and leverage the good work that's happening within the Veterans Center. When we talk about mentorship and support, ensuring, that their transcripts, all of that is in place. And then, of course, on the academic side, the curriculum, looking at modality, especially for active duty, meeting them where they are. And so we hosted a military advisory roundtable just over a month ago to bring leaders, just sort of a small, intimate discussion to listen and to learn. And we identified an area that we really know will be a game changer in terms of bringing on a military liaison position, someone who will be out in the community, have a presence on Camp Pendleton. We have an application pending with Camp Pendleton's Education Center.
Nice.
And so it is an area that we're proud, and we're just grateful for the number of students that we have that have served our country and are giving back and finding their pathways at Cal State San Marcos.
And when you think about it, and there's much been there, I know I've been, always good to see you at the SDMAC, breakfast San Diego Military Advisory Council once a month, and the people we have at the podium are just unbelievable. SecNav and the head of the, space, force and all that business is just fascinating. We had I'm not sure if you were at the last one. It was at the Miramar. And we had the commandant of the Marine Corps. Can't get any higher than that.
Same last name.
Any relation?
No.
Okay, very, very good.
I wish, no.
It was, that's true. That's right.
Yeah.
Sort of a character too. But, I think what you're talking about is just so spot on. And I know that the SDMAC Foundation is involved with working with probably your university and the others that have the military folks involved in that. But when you talk about the fields that are growing in San Diego and the world in general, we're so science-oriented. You got cyber we talked about, and engineering and, everything in between. Viasat's involved in some of this. God, the military, I mean, my goodness. We say this quite a bit. I used to do a military show where we started re-engineering again, did it for about 9 years. More than that, what am I talking about 10 or 11 years. But you've got 20-year-olds handling $40 million worth of machinery and have to be on top of their game with, electronics and all that business and sophistication with technology. I mean, that has got to be great when they are now going and taking some of your courses. How does the rest of the student body react and interact with these folks?
Well, we look at our, our growing engineering program, for example. 30% of our majors are veterans.
Right.
We just hosted a social mobility symposium this past June. I think we were on the show just before that.
Right.
And we had our student, Jeremy Benjamin, who spoke so passionately about what that meant to be a veteran and his experience and utilizing what he learned to become a leader on campus. And so our students, embrace that. And he's a perfect example of how, taking the leadership that they've learned and bringing it to our community and working together to ultimately make us everything better and work better together.
Yeah. So you're entering this little bit of a campaign coming up. You want to talk about that?
We are. We're gearing up for a very, very ambitious and the largest campaign that Cal State San Marcos has seen. So we concluded our first ever campaign in December of 2018. That really allowed us to build a foundation to where we are going today. And so with that, we're also going to go places we've never been and do things we've never done before. A place like Cal State San Marcos, that's 33 years old. We've never seen an 8-figure gift. We have never seen a 7-figure gift from an alum. And we have, our growing body of alumni, just over 60,000, but half of which are from the last decade. So there's a lot of work to build and grow. We've never seen an endowed position on campus, at least, sort of in the lifetime. We have a few through bequests, but we want them to live for a very long time.
Right.
And this military position is one that we're also looking to endow for sustainable support. So there's a lot of firsts and there's a lot of energy. So, and again, going back to the stats of where we are in terms of, 30% individual of our giving that's coming from individuals, a lot of opportunity for individuals in our community to learn more about us, to step up and grow. And I have to thank you for being such a big part of that. Part of that is visibility and sharing our story. Yeah. And oftentimes when people step foot on campus, there's this, wow, Correct. I didn't know you were doing this. You're here.
Spot on. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for the shout out. I appreciate it. But, this is what we love about the Spotlight Show. I've been doing it now since 2007, believe it or not. And, you can't talk about it enough. And, like I said, when I first met you and the president, I want to have you guys on at least a minimum of once a quarter, maybe even
Love
more.
That.
Because as you know, you got to sit there and continue that. And who knows who you're hitting in that audience that says, I want to get involved in this. And by the way, I know Mackenzie Scott and,
Yeah, if you're listening, we're first in the nation.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's funny about Mackenzie Scott. Her name has come up with a couple of the groups I've been affiliated with. Junior Achievement, I'm on the board, and she just gave $1.2 million to them. And you may know him because he may be part of your 10 school districts, Dr. Luis Ibarra from, Escondido Elementary School District. Luis has been on the show quite a bit. And we did a big event. I think you were talking to Tim Baird as he was leaving, Dr. Tim Baird, called Soup Tank, where we did a Shark Tank with superintendents. Okay. And he was one of them. He just got a $16 million grant from her. And, and the way she operates, she lives in San Diego now, and that's Jeff Bezos' former wife. It's unencumbered. And what I love about it is we trust you guys. Here's the money, and let me get out of your way. That usually doesn't happen in those things.
No.
So what you guys are doing, and she would love that stat on the social mobility, you should try to find a way. Because what you guys are doing is so unique. Or maybe you do know her,
No, yes, thank you for, there's so much that we could do. There's so much that in terms of, we've talked about this building, we've talked about the umbrella of opportunity under support and resources needed surrounding social mobility. And so, yes, if you're listening, love to talk
well,
more.
Listen, the connections, Luis and all that business and so forth. But, these are the things that happen. But with your social mobility and the stats you have on that, we're providing those opportunities for his first generation. They've been in 5 generations of folks in San Diego, first generation to do this. And that number has grown. That's why you're number one. That's the type of stuff, the Mackenzie Scotts, I don't want to speak for her. She doesn't know me from Adam. But, fortunately, she was given to some of the organizations I'm involved in. And as someone to look at, there's going to be your first 8-figure grant. And then you can say, you know what? That came here in the Spotlight of the Community Show. Hey, Jessica, what can we do? What can our listeners do to support your efforts and that of the president?
Come join us. Really, it's we're a special place doing amazing work, and the lives that we're changing and the ripple effect that has in the community I would say, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? And again, Drew, we're so grateful for what you have done to get our word out. This coming spring, we'll be hosting a spring event around social mobility and talking about opportunities for support and what that will look like on campus. Because we're going to move some mountains, and we are.
You're already doing it.
Yes, but I would say join us. I come to campus. You see our students, and you see what that means when we're talking about bringing in students who otherwise wouldn't have those opportunities and creating a pathway to really change their lives and their families and the community.
Should they contact your office and so forth? They could start on it. I mean, if they want to get a tour, how does that work?
Absolutely. I'm happy to give out my information right here.
Please do. Give out your information.
My email is jmberger@csusm.edu. You can find me, Jessica Berger. And Drew, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. And that great example of the person that visited as a third grader and now is engaged in it. And that's what it takes, is to visit that. Wishing you, Jessica, nothing but great success. We're going to have you back on, of course, sooner than later after the first of the year, talk about more about these campaigns. And listen, if you want to bring in somebody that has benefited as a first generation person that went to Cal State San Marcos and maybe even working at Cal State San Marcos, and that aspect, that we love to have the chops of those people as well.
That'd be fantastic. We have the highest percentage of employee alums. So
do you know what? I think we found a topic for our next show.
Okay.
We've been chatting with Jessica Berger, Vice President of University Advancement for Cal State University San Marcos. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing terrific things to San Diego for more than 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.